our engagement, our wedding.
Yeah, it's a good story.
I mean, it's a great story.
Yeah. I think before we kind of start talking about that, though, we should probably go back to deciding to have kids together because that plays into it.
Yes, yes, yeah, absolutely. I remember like in the beginning, like we were like dead set against it. I remember that we were just like at that point where like we both had kids so young, right? And obviously that like absolutely like I wouldn't say probably borderline traumatic, right? Of like obviously having kids young and not thinking things through and things like that and also kind of like we were through like a rough patch in our life, right? And
Right.
then kind of like we were now kind of enjoying it, kind of like being with the right person, right? And kind of enjoying that moment. And
Yeah, I think so because like, we would go for rides on your bike and like we would have days of just bar hopping and like, right? And going up to the beach and just like
yeah,
enjoying ourselves when we didn't have the kids. And they were, 8, 9, and 5 at that point. So we were past that point of like having little kids,
right,
you
like
know?
kind of like starting all over again. And it was definitely like also like there was a fact of like you and I are there doing math, right? Like we're figuring it out, and we're just like, yeah, like it's like by the time that the youngest one, Mia, at the time was like by the time she graduates, we're gonna be like 40. We're gonna be younger than 40, and it's just like, yeah, like obviously now we're on and up, right? Like
Right.
we have money, like we're not living paycheck to paycheck, like well, kind of, yeah, we still work, but yeah, we still work, yeah. We were still living paycheck to paycheck, but like it was just the thing is that like we kind of had somebody to experience life with, right? And so it was just kind of like yeah, let's kind of start doing that. And we kind of had like this, like, let's just do us type mentality. And then, as time kind of went on and our love, grew, it was just,
Yeah, like we have to have kids. Like we have to have kids
yes,
together. And
yes.
for me, I think as a woman, I really wanted to give you kids. Like that was something that was important to me. You got them.
Yeah. But I think it was like what was even crazier was that like during that time, like it was how dead set we were prior to that. Like to send it like kind of like just kind of go back. It was just like I was ready to like lock it up. Like I
Oh
was
yeah, you were about to get a vasectomy.
yeah. I always say to my sister, I'm like, yep, close up shop. I'm like, I'm a dangerous weapon.
She's like, let's not talk about this at dinner.
Yeah.
Call me another time, Kyle.
Call me another
Okay?
time. Yeah. That's true. I'm like, hey, if I don't do it now, I'm never gonna do it.
That turns out you never did it.
Yeah, I know. I lucked out.
Yeah,
That
you
was
did.
just what it was. But I think that it was, yeah, because it was just so different. Because like we just, we just had like that moment. It was just of, obviously as time, like we got closer, I spending more time with like your family, especially more time with grandpa. Like we said before, your mom's one of nine, and it was just kind of like as I just had spending more time with them, it was just kind of like wow, like I want this, like I want this, and then I remember, you know, being in bed with you, and we're just kind of just relaxing in the morning, and it was just like almost wanted to like Buffalo Bill you, like that's how crazy I want. That's how crazy I was about you. I'm just like I just want to wear you, like, and it was just kind of like this crazy feeling, but it was like this love that I'm just like, I think like you said it before, it was the best thing. It's like a manifestation of that love. Like,
Yeah.
and if there's anything like that's absolutely 110% correct of that is like Camila. Camila's like,
The biggest love bug in the world.
and she always used to be between us.
Always. We can't even have a conversation
Yeah, it's
without it. She's like, oh, let me come hug you.
yeah, like like God forbid that we get close to each other for like 1 second on the couch. She's just like this, like group hug, or
Yeah.
just hop right in. And so
I
it's just
know.
kind of
Selena's
one of
big with the group hugs too.
yeah,
She loves a group hug.
Yeah. It's a daily occurrence.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, and I think once we made that decision, like we got pregnant really fast, way faster than I thought we were going to.
One shot, one kill.
Yeah.
No.
He never misses.
Yeah, person being Mexican.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's why we had another kid 11 months later.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was just I'll never forget. Like obviously, at this point, like we decided like, all right, we're gonna get married. We decided like, all right, we're gonna have kids
Right away.
Right.
Because we were like, what, 32, I think?
Yes, and then like, but the other thing is too is that you know, we didn't obviously think we were gonna get pregnant as that fast.
Right. So we kind of thought that we would get pregnant after we got married. That was the original plan.
Yeah, didn't work out
No. I think like right? I think this is right. We decided to get married in like July, early August.
Yes.
And then found out that I was pregnant in September while we were away in Jacksonville with like my whole family.
Yeah. Yeah, literally everybody. And then like I remember like I'll never forget that like you kind of hinted around to it. Like
yeah.
I remember like you said to me like, yeah, like I think I might be pregnant. And like we're both kind of like, yeah, like no way, stuff like that. And I think that we ended up we walked from the hotel, went down.
I was like, oh, it's a quick walk. It was 105 degrees. It was so hot, right? And we're like, oh, this walk is taking us longer than we thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, the night before that was Alana's 21st birthday party.
Yes.
And I wasn't sure if I was pregnant yet. I think it was like kind of too early to take a test. I had a pretty good feeling that I was.
Right.
But I knew because we were big drinkers and partiers at the time that my family was going to be like, oh, what the fuck's going on? Are you pregnant? You know, like, why are you not drinking?
Yeah.
So you were like, just when we do the first shot, like, just take it. Like, it's not going to hurt the baby if you are pregnant.
Yeah.
And then just drink water the rest of the night. Because I always drink vodka sodas at that point. So at least the water looks like a vodka soda.
Right. Well, one thing from a tactical perspective, we probably should have asked for like the same cup. Because like I swear, like Deb absolutely sniffed it out. Like she's just said, like, "Oh, why are you drinking water?" We're like, "Fuck it, vodka
Like,
soda."
what? It's vodka soda. I don't know why.
Business.
I don't know why he gave you this big giant cup.
I know, yeah, it's two but 20s. Like it was just kind of like that.
My aunt's like, oh my god,
Oh,
you just
no.
can't get anything by my mom or my aunts ever.
No, like there.
And I inherited it.
Yeah. Exactly that. It's like a laser focus. But you know, I'll just never forget that. And then exactly, we were just kind of like, oh shit, like so she's already kind of stiffing on our tails, type deal like that. And then, was it the day of the Pats game that we ended up?
We tested the day before.
Right.
So the day after the birthday party, but the day before the Pats game.
Right.
Because we were down there for the Pats Jacksonville game because one of my uncles lives in Jacksonville. So we tested on that day in between.
Right.
So that was fine because we were meeting like my dad and one of my uncles for dinner, but that was, my dad's not one to like pry. So even if I wasn't drinking, he wouldn't say anything to me, you know?
Right.
But I ended up calling my mom to tell her that night, remember? Because I was like, oh my God, we're tailgating.
Yes.
And I'm not going to be drinking.
We knew we were going to be found out at that point. Well, like,
Yeah.
I remember like that it was just like, oh shit, well, like, they're going to know. And because the fact of the matter was that we just figured it out at that point. And like, we're just like, oh man, like, we're like, we had like no way to kind of like prepare for it or anything because we literally found out like literally while we were there. And I never forget, we're like, well, we got to tell your mom because exactly you didn't want it coming from
somebody else.
Yeah. Right? Exactly. And so obviously I remember like, you know, kind of like the whole test, right? Like you took the test, I went to the bathroom and I'm kind of like going through to my head. I'm like, all right, like she has whatever, something like that. And then like I come out and you didn't see it yet. You just kind of left.
I hadn't seen it
on the counter, and I'm like, and I remember like seeing the test, and I'm like, I'll never forget. I was like, I started tearing up. Like I was just like, we're gonna have a baby.
Yeah.
It was like the craziest thing. You're like, what? Like, we're gonna have a baby. Like it was just like
it was
this
awesome.
craziness, and it was just one of the greatest times. And then
It was definitely a lot nicer of a finding out than when I found out I was pregnant with Selena.
oh, get the fuck out of here.
So our youngest two kids are 11 months apart. They're the same age every year for 1 week. And Camila was like, what, 3 months old when we found out that I was pregnant with Selena. And I had just randomly took a test. He was at work. I called him and I'm like, yeah, I'm pregnant again.
Yeah, and so I'm at work. I get this phone call. She's like, "Yeah, I'm pregnant again." Get the fuck out of here! It was like I'm like, what is going on?
It was ridiculous.
I remember we just started laughing.
Yeah.
I remember we just started laughing. We were just like, well, I mean, like we wanted her. We just didn't think it was gonna happen that fast.
Yeah, we did definitely want another kid, but I just didn't think it would be, less
I'm
than a
pretty
year
sure
later.
it happened right after we got the go ahead.
Yeah.
Like it was just kind of like doctors like, yeah, like you can get back to it, and like I said, one shot, one kill.
Yeah.
I think that was kind of like that was just a crazy time. But
Yeah, but I think kind of to get more serious and like towards the wedding,
right.
I think us getting pregnant that fast and prior to us getting married kind of made people think that, oh, they're just getting married because she's pregnant.
Kind of like the trifecta of wrong reasons, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like we haven't been together that long. Probably from your past of like you got pregnant young.
Got married young, like got married while I was pregnant.
Right,
Yeah.
kind of that. And then, it's kind of like all those different things, like all those different reasons. And absolutely, it was just kind of like, I remember like telling, even like my brother, I'm like, yeah, like we're going to get married. And he's like, what, dude? Like, it was like the craziest thing. And then same thing, it was like, I remember telling, just really just about anybody I talked to and told them I was getting married. They're like, you sure? Like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, what do you mean I'm sure? Like, yeah, but
I think for people, right, like you had been together with the girl's mother on and off for like 12 years.
well, that was
Right?
another thing too.
So-
I was just gonna say that, like it was also like 3 failed engagements. Like it was
Yeah.
like which is talk about like the universe telling you like
Don't do this.
like, because what was crazy was that like for me it was like I had a mentality of like I'm only gonna get married once in my life, and I honestly do think that if I did get married, like would I remarry again? No, it was just one of those things, and it was just but it was obviously just just waiting for you, and like
Really?
the universe it kept its way of like basically being like, dude, like trying to help you out here.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. But I think that was why people were like, really? Like, 'cause even people you worked with and stuff like that were like, what? You're getting
Yes.
married? Like, we didn't even know we didn't even know that it was that serious or whatever.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
That. And then like it was just kind of like those things, and then obviously, I think when it came time for planning our wedding, because we didn't even want anything even big, like we just kind of wanted something simple, because I think at that point I was so turned off to like, because obviously everything that I was kind of been through, I'm like I don't want to do anything crazy. I just kind of want something like more intimate, things like that.
Yeah, and I mean,
the same way too.
I was, because I had had a wedding, and I didn't feel any need for it. Like, both you and I keep our circles pretty small, like,
Right.
well, as small as I can with my family, but it's basically all my family. Like, my sisters are my best friends, my cousins, my aunts, like, those are the people that I go to. I have a very small group of friends outside of my family.
Right.
So we were trying to keep it, like, we were going to have it in our backyard in Lynn.
Right, and I remember that when we started to kind of plan the wedding and things like that, and then just started like this absolute just snowball effect of just like shitty events that basically led us to like deciding to just get married by ourselves. Like it was like I think it all. Like what kind of started it?
So we were going to get married in our house, have a party in the backyard, and we wanted Charlie, Kyle's brother, to marry us.
Right, because you had did that with.
I married one of my aunts.
Yes, exactly.
I married one of my aunts.
So I thought that was the coolest thing, and then, it was just kind of like that one moment where, like, my brother means the world to me. He's just everything to me, right? And
he had lived with us, so he knew our relationship kind of back and forth at that point.
Or he knew it.
Yeah.
He knew it. Yeah. So it was definitely like one of those things, and so like we're like, oh, like who better to do this?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And in doing that, it kind of created like this chain effect of my brother-in-law. I'll never forget that we were in Macy's.
Macy's.
Yeah, we were in Macy's, and we're shopping for dresses for the girls and things like that.
For the wedding.
Right. And I get a phone call, and the phone call was basically like, "Hey, what's going on, man?" Like, and it was, cordial, things like that. And I'll never forget. He was like, "Oh," he's like, "So I heard that your brother is going to marry you guys." I'm like, "Yeah, like, I'm excited. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's so awesome and things like that." And he was like, he was like, I think like you're making a joke of marriage. And at this point, I'm like, it almost like I have the phone and I'm just kind of like.
I can distinctly remember this, like being in the dressing room with the girls and you kind of walking away to take the phone call,
and because
just
I didn't
like
want you guys overhearing it at the time, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And then, he kind of goes into it. He's like, marriage is sacred and it's in front of God. And like, I feel like, you're just getting somebody to just like marry you guys. It's like not being blessed by God and all these different things. And here I am saying to myself, I'm like, you got married in my house by just for the peace. It's no different. It's no different. Right. And then, he kind of wanted to start getting into it more, but I knew that regardless of what that conversation was going to consist of, it was not going to be anything. Like, we were never going to agree because he saw it his way, I saw it my way. There was never going to be any point of us
coming together. There was no middle ground.
There was no middle ground.
No.
I knew that out the gate. I'm like, you know why? Because I feel the way how I feel about it. He feels the way how he feels about it.
You handled that really well too. Like, I think you just were so respectful to him while stating like, hey, this is what we're going to do.
Right. And I remember just saying to him, I'm like, you know what, man? I'm like, let's just agree to disagree.
But he said that he and his family wouldn't.
Right. I remember asking him, he was like, if this is what you choose to do, and then he was like, I'll pay for it just as a piece. I mean, buddy, how is it any different? I remember saying this. I was like, somebody who, you don't know what they do behind closed doors. They're not ordained by God. I was like, it's a government appointed official.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was all these different things, and then I'm like, why wouldn't I want somebody who knows us and knows us intimately, like, to do this? And I never forget, like, I was so hurt. I was so hurt by it at the time. And I remember him saying, he's like, if this is how you choose to go, he's like, I will not be attending your wedding. That's what he said. He said it very respectfully. He's like, I will not be attending your wedding. I'm like, I respect that. Thank you for letting me know. Am I to assume that my sister and my nieces and nephews will not be coming as well? That they will not be there as well. Okay, sounds good. And I was like, it hurts me that you guys won't be there, but I respect your decision. Thank you for letting me know.
Right.
And I was like, I got to let you go. I'm with my family right now. We're buying dresses for the wedding.
Yeah.
And that was it. And I remember like having to tell you that.
Yeah.
And it being like kind of like a what the fuck moment, like kind of like where's it coming from? And I'm just like, you know what? I'm like, we're never gonna agree on this. And I was just like, so that's where I left.
No, I mean, and they're very religious, and that's fine. That's their, you know what I mean? Like, that's what they believe. Like,
Yeah.
and that's okay. But it was definitely super hurtful. And then I think all of a sudden, all this shit just started happening.
And then,
Like, we have, we're saying, okay, we're going to get married on Saturday, November 3rd. That was it. All of a sudden, like, my cousin has a soccer tournament that weekend. And, like, when I tell you guys, like, I'm close to my family, I mean close. Like, we do everything together, Sunday dinners, like, so for them to say to me, like, oh, well, she has a soccer tournament, so I don't know if we're going to be there. I'm like, what? Like, how could you say that to me? This is my wedding,
Yeah.
And then my uncle said, like, oh, well, we'll just catch you at the next one.
And I remember, like, he what was crazy was that he said it to me, and then it got me so sideways.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that, 'cause I'm just like there is no next one. Like, this is like, but then, like, to me, it was kind of like, well, it kind of made, the way how it made me feel about it at the time was that I'm like, I wonder if this has to do with the fact of, like, how you got married the first time.
Right. And now I'm pregnant again, and we're not married, but we're going to get married.
History repeating itself.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
it's like, here's this thing that starts up all over again.
Exactly. And I never really thought, like, if anyone in my family even thought that,
Right.
But that kind of made me feel that way.
Right.
And at that point, we were continuing to go forward with it. But then I got a text from my sister saying that my nephew was going to come to the wedding, but he would be late. And anyone who knows me knows my nephew. This one particular nephew is like my son. Like, we lived together until he was 5. He's like my older daughter's little brother. Right. He was always with me. Even now, my kids joke that he's my favorite kid.
They send him to do their bidding. He's like, ask for pizza. She won't say no to you.
Yeah, exactly. So that was like a dagger to the heart for me.
I remember that.
It really was, and I was at work when I got that text message, and I also just want to say, like, this was over 5 years ago, and at the time, I didn't handle confrontation with my family well at all. And I wish, looking back, that I had spoke to them and said what I wanted to say in a respectful manner, obviously. But I was so upset at the time, thinking, like, this is our wedding. Like, how are you saying that these things are more important? Like, a kid's sports game is more important than coming to my wedding. And so I just kind of I was just like, whatever, like, I can't even deal with this, right? I was so hurt by it. But I remember texting you from work and, like, screenshotting the text and you just being, like, really upset on my behalf too, and both of us just saying, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, and now, like, this time that's supposed to be happy for us, we're, like, getting dragged down by what other people think about our wedding.
I know, and, like, dude, don't forget, I'm like, our kids, like, well, my Kiara and Mia, because of what was going on with, like, my ex, like, at one point they weren't going to be there either.
Yeah.
It was like this. I'm like, how can I not have my kids there? And there was other things even on top of that. Like, I remember even, like, with Charlie finding out if it was okay if he could marry us, and then like in all of, like, this, like, other stuff, and I'm just
so
like,
much.
I'm like, buddy, I'm like it's like, this is what it is, like, and it was just all this different stuff from, like, the religious aspect of things too, like, and I'm just like, it was like the hardest thing. It really was like a hard thing. And then I remember, like, just like how you were just saying though too, like, there was a lot of moments that I wish I could have in which we're going to have another podcast, like another episode about this as well, about overcoming like those fears of being honest with our family members. Like,
Yeah.
we can be honest with a lot of other people, but sometimes being honest with like your family is like the hardest thing, and it's because
100%.
it's like from like that place of love, and but you feel that you kind of associate it with that bad thing. I think that's been something that we've really been working hard about, and I think it's going to be a great episode. So stay tuned for that one.
Yeah.
It'll be a heavy one.
It will, definitely.
But kind of getting back into this, like it's we hit that point. Like we hit that point where we're like this has become everything about everyone else. It has nothing to even do with us anymore. Like it wasn't about me. It wasn't about you. It wasn't about us. It was about everybody else.
Yeah.
Like everybody else's shit was more important than us getting married. And then we finally got to a point where like we were both super upset. I'll never forget it. Like, we were
Yeah.
both super upset, and we were like, "Fuck this."
Yeah, we were basically texting each other at the same time. Like,
Yes.
I want to go to City Hall, and you were like, you know what? I do too.
It
It was literally like that. I was like, I want to go, me and you. I don't want anybody else to be there.
Right.
Like, we're gonna go. They're gonna marry us in the city clerk's office.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be fucking married, because it was. I really think like that time was so integral to helping our relationship grow to the point that it is now. Because one thing about all of that, like all that shit, like your family, my family, like we could have been at each other's throats, right?
Yes.
And we weren't. We were very united, I felt, in how we dealt with everything.
Like us against the world.
Yeah. But I really think that that has kind of translated even to how our marriage is now. Like, we're very, very tight. Like, you can't get in between us. Like, no one's going to say something about the other one. You know what I mean? Like, we don't bring other people's opinions into our marriage.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's like we protect our marriage. Like, that's probably the biggest thing. It's like, not gonna talk bad about my husband, you're not gonna talk bad about my wife, and it's just kind of like just the way how we protect us,
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. And then just a real funny thing I kind of want to get into was like our procrastination about getting a ring. I was like, as serious as this all is, I remember that like when we finally decided like, oh, we're gonna go to fucking City Hall, and then like we were leading up to us, and then we're just like, we gotta get rings. And then like now, mind you, I got big hands, right? And I work so with that. Just so everyone out there, if you ever wonder about if you ever end up buying a ring, I think a size 7 is probably the smallest you ever get at a store around here. I have a size 14 finger. Didn't know that.
Yeah. There we are in the North Shore Mall 2 nights before we're getting married, literally. And we got my ring, which was just this middle band right here. He's added these two as the years have gone on, but it was just this band. It was like $300 or something.
Yeah, but I remember that was probably like, I think
that was like our biggest purchase.
That was like the most that we could get. We're like, we got a mortgage to pay. Kind of like,
exactly.
That was the most that we could do. And
then we're like running around the mall, going to stores, and Kyle's putting on rings and they're getting to like.
But I never get that. Like, we went to a Polynesian store. I'm like, they're big motherfuckers.
Yeah, like maybe they'll have one.
Maybe they'll have one. They're like, the biggest thing we have is a size 7. And
no, not for men, but like something way smaller than a 14.
I don't know. It was like a 7 or a 8.
Okay.
It was definitely like that number sticks out in my head. And then like, but then you're like, oh, do you think anybody would have it? They're like, God, no.
No.
And I never forgot. I went on Amazon.
Yeah, we panic ordered bands.
Right. I went on Amazon and I was like, I found a ring and it was like $30, I think, with Prime shipping.
Yeah.
Like next day,
and I'm pretty sure that was for like your actual band and then a bunch of like the rubber bands that you could wear at work.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was like 12 rings for $30 or something.
So all in all, we're like an investment for like like $350. But like
yeah, and so then that Friday we went to City Hall. That Friday, like, we just woke up and got ready together.
We brought the kids to school.
Yeah.
We brought the kids to school first, and then we actually have a picture of it. We have a picture. No, I'm thinking of.
No, that's the day
that
Cammy was born.
Cammy, yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's the day
Cammy
Cammy was born. Yeah.
But yeah, I remember that we dropped the kids off. We went back home, and then we got dressed, went to Lynn City Hall, and I remember that we both sat in the car, and we're like, next time we get in this car, we're gonna be a married couple.
Yeah.
It was like a big thing, and I forget we walked in and a bunch of other people there too. Like it was actually like a few other people, and yeah, I remember we just walked in and it was just the weirdest thing. It was like, okay, just go stand over there. And we're like, okay. And I'll just never forget that. I remember like I actually started crying. I started crying when as we kind of like started like saying our vows.
Yeah.
It was just what they were telling me to say to you. But regardless of like what that scene was, regardless of like everyone that was in that room, regardless of that, it was like this like I have like a bunch of flyers to the opposite side of me. There's some newspapers and there's all this stuff. It did not take away how beautiful it was.
It was perfect.
Honestly, it was like standing across from you and like just like here's this person I'm dedicating the rest of my life to and like protecting and everything. And it was the greatest moment. Like, and I never forget. Like, and like you're looking at me too, and I'm like, like crying and shit. And it was the greatest. It was the absolute greatest thing. And I think everything that we have been through leading up to that, especially even just all the stuff before that, right? Even before the whole engagement, all the breakups, the stuff like all the other things that we're kind of going through at the time too, and then leading up to the wedding, and then it was probably like the thing that really cemented us, like you mentioned before, like it solidified us.
Yeah, 100%.
It was like, and it goes back to the best advice I ever got from Grandpa and Nana. It's in the beginning it's you two, and in the end it's you two.
Yeah,
and
a little different for us because we brought some kids into it.
Well,
but
right,
marriage-wise, yeah, like
marriage-wise, yeah,
it's the kids are gonna leave eventually.
Right, they're gonna have their own story. They're gonna have their own family that they're gonna kind of go off into, and it's just like that's the biggest thing in marriage that a lot of people like you see it all over social media. We talk about it all the time. It's like you see the roommate phase and all these different phases, and it's one thing I can honestly say that like I'm proud that we never have gone through that. Like it's things that we kind of really prioritize us first, and it's I think believe it or not, it's ever since we kind of had those moments. Like it's been a honeymoon phase for the most part. Like it's like 5 years in, and it's
probably more happy than ever.
Right, like that's what I'm saying. Like it's been more of a honey. It's like it's great every day. Like it's not like I think it's really helped ingrain that it's really helped give us that where our goal every day is to make each other happy.
Yeah.
Right, like I know that like every move that I make is to make you happy, and likewise for you, it's like you wake up and like it's like those decisions, and the thing is it happens naturally because it's just. We are, right? It's
we want to do it for each other.
Right.
And I really do think so much of it goes back to like literally it just being us standing there at City Hall. And like, this is us and it's going to be us forever, right? Regardless of the kids, regardless of anybody in either of our families, like this is our relationship. This is our marriage. Like, we need to take care of it. And I think by going to City Hall, that's what we did.
Right. And so it was kind of like the biggest blessing in disguise, right?
Yeah.
It was the biggest blessing in disguise. And we left, we're walking out of Lynn City Hall. We go sit in the car. Took our most epic photo ever.
Still the best picture.
one try. In which, if you know her, it's like
I can't stand myself on camera. So.
But it was our greatest photo, and
we went home for a little bit. I remember we went and got hot chocolate at Dunk's because I was pregnant and I was drinking coffee, and then we went and picked up the girls at school, and one of my other uncles was there picking up his kids. And he was like, "No, what's up? You guys are married."
yeah. No. What was funny? Yeah, it was. It was Adi. I'll never forget it. That like he was just like he was like, "Oh, hey, how'd you date?" Like I remember that he just kind of said it. He was like, they're shooting the shit for He's like, "Oh, kind of date." He's like, "Oh yeah, wait, you guys are married now?" And we're like, "Yeah." Well, and he's like, "Nice." Like it was like the most like
so funny.
But it was just like great, and I remember it was just like our life just continued on, and
yeah, we took the kids to dinner that night. We went to Tuckaway Tavern, and
yes,
that was it.
Yeah.
Then the next day we went to dinner at Serena's in Malden, which R.I.P. It's gone.
Yes, yeah.
But with my parents, Nana and Grandpa,
and my parents,
the kids, and your parents. Yeah.
Yeah, in which that did not exactly go as smoothly as well. It was just weird. I think it was just kind of like seeing like it was kind of like a lot of like the beginning of at the end type deal. I think my dad showed up late. Pretty sure he was like half in the bag, and there was just so much more stuff that happened at that dinner, in which I think we had to save that one for the next episode.
Yeah, because we're going to talk about boundaries. So I think,
yeah,
I think the next episode will be the spot for that.